Language is essential for understanding what's around us. When we speak to ask questions about the world around us, we are using language. When we listen to explanations about the world around us, we are listening to language. So speaking and listening are foundation to new learning and for new skills and new knowledge. For example, learning to read and write depends on spoken language. Whether it is recognizing and decoding the word tiger or the word bear in a storybook, or writing your thoughts about a story you've just read, saying, "I liked the sleepy tiger and the growling bear." These are all dependent on how good your spoken language skills are. But literacy learning is not the only place where language plays a role. Language plays a role in the learning about emotions, in our developing social skills. For example, you may need language to communicate how you feel, that you feel anxious, that you're feeling worried, that you're feeling angry. You also need language to understand the world around you, how others feel. Are they feeling happy? Are they feeling joyful? Are they feeling hugely excited about something? Assessing children's language is a good way to understand their profile of strengths and weaknesses.
It's important to assess a child's language in order to understand whether they're on the right track of development and also whether their development is at the right rate. In turn, this is important because language is the foundation for learning. And if you think about it, language is important for all aspects of education because the educational curriculum is delivered through language itself. So it's important to assess language in order to check that a child is in a good position to benefit from their education. And I think ideally all teachers need to know something about the stages of language development and what is expected at each age, but they don't need to have detailed knowledge as, for example, a linguist might have. With that appreciation of language as a backdrop, then teachers are well placed to assess language.
Child language is a multi-dimensional system where these different dimensions interact with each other. It is useful to think of child language as complex, as something that comes together because of different building blocks. What are these building blocks? One would be phonology, which is the sound patterns that define a language. The other would be vocabulary. This refers to all the words that make up the language. The third would be the rules of putting these words together to construct sentences, the grammar of the language. And the fourth, which depends on the phonology, the vocabulary and the grammar, comes together to call what we call discourse. In discourse, what we are looking at is the extended use of language. It is many sentences put together and one uses this to communicate or one uses this to understand. So this would be discourse as in conversations or discourse as in listening to a story, for example. One way to think about language is to see how different children in a given age band are displaying that particular skill. For example, if it's vocabulary and you're looking at 5-year-olds, some would be ahead, some would be a little far behind, and some would be really far, far behind. Similarly with grammar, with phonology, and with discourse. Now, why is it that different children develop at different speeds? And why is it that within a child, different dimensions develop quicker than others? The reasons are several, but one of the most commonly seen reasons is the lack of opportunity or the presence of opportunity. Some children have a rich language background. They have a place where they can use their language. They are encouraged to use their language. They are encouraged to risk using the language so that they can try and fail, but then try again. So, children who have a lot of storytelling or who have a lot of book reading happening to them, they have access to wider and wider vocabulary, for example. So here is opportunity helping with receptive vocabulary. Children who have a lot of conversations happening around them. They are listening to their parents speaking, they are being engaged in conversations with their brothers, their sisters, their extended family. Here is an opportunity for them to use their expressive vocabulary, expressive grammar, and expressive discourse skills. So, opportunity makes a big difference to the speed at which each aspect of language will develop.
Some other children have difficulties with language because it's part of some general physical or medical condition. Other children have developmental language difficulties that are somewhat unexplained. This is sometimes referred to as developmental language disorder, and these children have specific difficulties in learning language, although they can learn other skills without any difficulty.
It is important to assess expressive language skills and receptive language skills. Given that language is multidimensional, with dimensions such as vocabulary, grammar, phonology, and discourse, it is essential that language assessment is also multidimensional. All of this together gives us the kind of information we want to support children's language learning. Why do we need to support children's language learning? Because that is what supports a deeper understanding of their own emotional life, their social skills, their engagement with text and books, and importantly, their future success in the world of academics.